we record these so that others can get on later. We have a number of people that will that work during the day and whatnot and not able to attend these, so they will log in and watch these. And if you all wanted to watch it again, if you found things valuable and didn't write it down, as I find happens to me often, I will grab the recording and go back and pick up those, finish my notes on those few things that I didn't catch the first time around. So that's all recorded. And this is the just to kind of repeat myself, this is the Ignite series we're in. This is session 2, Embrace Your Job. Again, my name is Eric Bjorga, and I'm a realtor here in the Keller Williams office, Sunset Corridor, which is west of Portland. And I've been doing real estate for 20 years, just closing on 20 years this year. So it doesn't feel like it's that long, to be quite honest. And what that has allowed me to do is experience a couple different recessions here. I got the run up in the early 2000s, up to that 2006-07 turn, and thankfully was positioned well in the foreclosure and the short sale market, really. And so I was able to weather that. And so I'm still around, right? So I'm hoping that today like I said before, I'm hoping that today will be of value, and that we can, if you have any questions, my particular goal in teaching, my passion is in imparting what I've learned and what others have taught me to others. And my goal is to make it, communicate it in a way that makes sense to you. And if for some reason, I don't want to just talk at you the whole time, but if for some reason I'm covering something and you're like, I don't know what that this, I don't get it, or I have a question, feel free to just, put your hand up or holler. I will, if I'm hearing background noise during the thing, I'll probably mute everybody again. So if you see that happen, don't take offense. It's easier to mute all than it is to figure out where the noise is coming from. And then if we're interacting, just feel free to unmute yourself again. So, but yeah, normally what we'll do, by the way, is as we get going, we'll talk about things that people have, like wins. I like to celebrate wins. So I'll start it out even today and just say, is there anybody like any wins they want to celebrate, or anything want to just say, hey, this is something's going really great for me right now. That's something positive we want to share.
I've been running into people at the grocery store and getting my business card handed out. And it's funny because a lot of election signs are popping up, and I'm the only one that's a real estate agent that's advertising. And so I'm starting up conversation as, you're that person with those pretty signs around town that are popping up. I saw your name. Yeah, here's my card. I went to the grocery store and was able to give out my card to 3 people just because somehow, some way in the conversation went from, hi, how are you, to, oh, you're that person that I've been seeing name pop up. I've been putting flyers in, it sounds kind of weird, but like flyers and bus stops and signs up at popular intersections and things like that. So people are noticing my name.
That's awesome.
I would say that's a big win for me.
Hey, that's a win. And in for people who don't know, Amanda's in a smaller market. So that is actually a particularly beneficial type of strategy to, get your name recognized. And you could do that in a bigger market if it's a localized area.
I'm over in Florence, hitting up the coast, just to clarify.
Nice, thank you. Anything, anybody else, any wins, anything they want to celebrate today before we rock and roll on this?
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I've just been celebrating because the timing of all these classes starting has just been amazing timing. I passed my exams 2 weeks ago now, and then last week I kind of got started on the onboarding stuff, and then all these trainings started this week. So it just seems like an awesome way that it all panned out time wise. So
as I've heard other people say, my mentor often says to me, there are no coincidences.
Where are you out of, Emily?
I live east of the Dalles, Oregon. I live in a super small town, 100 people, small community. in the middle of wheat farming country.
Use it to your advantage. I promise you can become a community celebrity really quick. And I'm learning that firsthand. It's really easy in a small town.
Yeah, it has its perks for sure.
Well, thank
Yeah,
you,
I'd
Emma.
love to try that too. I'm in Cottage Grove, Oregon. But I'm in my second year, just started my second year of real estate. And I just joined Keller Williams. So I'm really looking forward to learning as much as I possibly can and hopefully having a better year than my first year.
Right on. Thank you. Do you prefer Tim or Timothy?
Tim.
Okay. Thank you, Tim. And that's actually a good segue. Just since we're on all this together, and this tends to be an interactive type of class, if the rest of you wouldn't mind just even doing a quick introduction of yourself and where the market you're out of, just how, if you want to share how long you've been in it, just something about, so we know who we're all sitting in a room with, right?
I'll go. I'm Josh Henneveld. I was the team leader when we opened Capital City in Salem. Had my license for coming on 9 years now, and had a big team at one point. Downsized my team, and then my father asked me to come run his company for him. So I did that for the last 4 years, and just getting back into real estate full time. So nothing like flexing some muscles that got a little atrophied while I was doing real estate part time. So I got asked to teach some of these classes, and I actually chose to not teach because I want to make sure I'm in learning mode. So thanks for teaching today.
Yeah, thanks for being here. And like I said, this is interactive. So if there's anyone that, is anything that you hear, Josh, that you want to interject, feel free. I mean, I don't consider myself the expert. I'm always learning myself. So, and all of you, who else wants to jump in?
I can go ahead and go. So my name's Tristan. I've been down here with Keller Williams for about a month now. I was at the Keller Williams Mid-Willamette on the Gillette home team up in Lebanon, and then took a step back here because I'm local here. I'm born and raised here, so I know this market a lot better, and I was able to actually attend more here and be more present. But I've been licensed since June, so it's been about 4 months now, and first time I've taken Ignite, so I'm just looking forward to, for one, thank you teaching, and just looking forward to learning the classes and absorbing as much as I can.
Awesome. Thank you, Tristan. Anyone?
I'm Ashley, and I'm in the Eugene Springfield area. I just got started, so this is brand new.
Well, that's awesome. Congrats. It sounds like you have a little one. Maybe.
Sorry, I'll mute
No,
myself.
don't be sorry. It's just, it's one of the beauties of this line of work. If you do it right, you can juggle. When I had my first kid, she was in a car seat. Like, I would time my showings around nap time in the car seat, it was like change diapers. And then I had a trunk set up in my car where I could just quickly do a quick diaper change, and parked her at the front desk at my other office. The gals are like, "Oh no, just bring her up to the front. We'll take care of her," so you can make it work. So
Most of my meetings, I have my 3-year-old climbing on me, Ashley. So you're in good company here.
yeah, who else wants to? We got Marissa, Lucida. Is it Nora? I can't quite see her.
Hi, I'm Lucida. I'm here in the Salem's office. So a win for me was I finally did my taxes. I was procrastinating and I finally finished them. So that's good.
Thank you.
Hi.
Anyone else? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. Hi, my name is Nora, and I'm with Keller Williams, Capital City here in Salem. And I've been doing real estate for the past, I'll say 3-4 years, just part-time. But I'm considering doing this full-time pretty soon. So that's why I need to get ready. Thank you.
Great. Yeah.
Hello, my name's Marissa. I live here in Woodburn, and I also just started with real estate.
Right on. Welcome.
Thank you.
I think we got everybody except for the iPhone user and Gary. Everybody knows Gary probably.
I'm Gary, in Eugene Springfield. I've been licensed since June and thirsty for all that knowledge.
Well, with any luck, I might have a little bit.
Right.
All right, so session 2, embrace your job. Let's jump right in. Do you all have, I'm hoping that you all have the student manual. It might look something like this. I went ahead and grabbed a copy of it to have, so I can have a sense of what you guys are seeing, because it, just so I can make sure that what I'm following is what you're, I mean, what we have is matches, but it's a different format than what we've used in the past. So I will, what we'll do is I'm going to jump into screen sharing mode, and figures when you go to teach something, all of a sudden your throat decides now is not a good time to be talking a lot. You know how that goes? So what we're going to do is I'm going to run through you know, obviously right now we're getting started in the whole Ignite series. As you guys know, it's a series of different classes, and one of our goals with Keller Williams, as well as particularly with our brokerage network here, is to provide value to you guys. So if you guys are in productivity coaching, then you get not only this Ignite series, but you get additional classes, and quite a few, in fact. And so as we go through these, you'll find that they're supposed to follow, and that's the idea, is to follow an order of what makes sense in terms of learning. So like what we see here, we're at, if you look at the, can everybody see this okay? Like course overview, just wanted to verify we're all on the same page virtually, as well as, so we are, as you can see right here, step 2 out of 20. And the goal, as you can see through here, is understanding your career essentially. And then it moves into the phase of lead generation and what it, you know, what generating a lead is, obviously, right? And I mean, what does it take to actually have business to do? And then you can see the lead follow-up section, and then it goes into transaction. And I wanted to just make a note here that one of the interesting things, when I've obviously been around for a while, but I've also coached agents for quite a long time. And especially when they come in new, a lot of people jump into, okay, tell me about, I'm a realtor, great. And they want to go from this step, you know, this part of being what is a realtor, all the way to, well, tell me how I need to write a contract, and how do I close this buyer or seller? And that's great. And that's obviously important. We need to know that. But the reality is, you don't get to have a buyer or seller if you don't actually have any leads. If somebody doesn't, if you don't basically find one, essentially, you don't get to have the opportunity to write transactions or show houses or work with, you know, go on listing appointments if you don't have a listing appointment, right? So the reason why you'll see here, step 5 through 9, step 10 through 13, the reason these things are in this order, and we don't just go, hey, here's who you are as a realtor, and then here's how you write a contract. Excuse me, as number one, we recognize that your longevity or your ability to succeed long term is gonna be in direct proportion to how well you understand and get this idea that I am in a lead generation business. I am in a business that is all about how well can I find leads, how well can I go and get them, and how well can I convert them, and how well can I turn them into somebody who's now a ready, willing, and able buyer or seller. Okay. That is the reality of our business. And in order for us as realtors, all of us, I mean, that conversation is aimed at myself as well as and all of us. I mean, I could say this to the right across from me, one of the most successful teams in the office. I could say the same conversation to them. They don't have a business, they don't have a team without the lead generation. And then once they generate a lead, without following up with it in such a way that it has a high conversion rate, so that they have the opportunity to really win that buyer, win that seller, and actually negotiate offers, right? So I just wanted to take a moment to stop on that point so that we can all wrap our heads around it and be on the same page. because really the value of our company is that we understand that you're in this to run a business. You're not just a licensed realtor that's selling some houses here and there. We know that for you to have a life worth living, this business worth owning idea is just that. It's a business that you're running that's worth owning, not just a real estate sales agent person, not thing that's out there selling a house or two. And if you treat it like a business, then you say, well, what do I got to do? What do I have to do to have clients? What do I have to do to actually convert those clients into prospects into clients that want to work with me? And once I have a client, how do I take care of them? And then, on and on. So, thank you for indulging me in that, but I also just wanted to set the stage for you as you're thinking through your future here. And I hope I didn't scare anybody off with that. And I hope that you guys embrace what those steps 5 through 13 really are as you go through the series, and don't dismiss the value of those, because truly that's going to be really if you want to look at it this way, steps 5 through 9 give you the right to have steps 10 through 13, which then give you the right to have 14 through 20, as a business owner. And I say right because what it is it's opportunity. You wouldn't have the opportunity to follow up with a lead if you don't have a lead. You wouldn't have a transaction if you didn't have a lead, or didn't follow up with that lead and convert them into a client. And so really, as a business owner, you want to have that flow always moving, and therefore you look at it as a business, not just, I got to find a house to sell. I got to find a buyer. I'm just going to go run around and sell a house. Okay, now I'm done. What am I doing? It's like, you're running a business. Let's look at all these different steps. So having said all that, let's talk through it. Let me see here. Just going to review. I apologize. Yeah. Okay. Today, what we're going to cover. So step 2, embrace your job, is all about this whole kind of flow here of, at the end of basically going through this, at the end of today, you'll be able to apply these 6 core competencies of your business, and then recognize your role as a fiduciary for your clients. It's not just there's this idea of functionary versus fiduciary. So you'll recognize that your role as a fiduciary for your clients, and then we'll review the success system. And then of course we'll review things, questions, recap, ahas, and then move from there. So that is the goal. Everybody ready to rock and roll with that? Any questions so far? One of the interesting things about, real estate as a career, there's many things, but being a realtor can be very, very rewarding. You get to have an opportunity to be a part of somebody's life, to be a part of their life, be a part of something, event, you could call it, if you want to call it that, but you could be a part of something in somebody's life that is so impactful and it can be a high emotional event. It can be, for different reasons, right? Highs or lows, right? But it can really be pivotal in this person's life. So that the thing that we're doing, that the part of their life that we have an opportunity to be a part of, is really impactful. And, also at the same time, you get the opportunity to build a business for yourself, a business that is worth owning and worth living out, so that you can fund that perfect life for yourself. So it's great that you have an opportunity to do something where you can make a living, and make an above average living if you choose to put the time and the effort and focus on the right things. But you can also have such an incredible impact on people's life if you choose to see it as that, and don't just see it as a transactional, I'm just here to get something out of somebody business. But if you see it as, I'm here to serve, and I'm here to really build into this person's life and help them make that decision, then you'll find that it's intensely rewarding internally, for you and for people that have done it a long time. That's one of the reasons they keep doing it, because it's almost like a high you can't get over when you're able to really serve people in that way and have it. It's like you get to do something that really helps people and get paid really well for it. It's like a win-win, right? So at the end of the day, to have that opportunity, to have the opportunity to serve someone, you got to get to know them. You got to have, as we talked about before, you got to have those leads, right? You got to actually meet somebody, i.e. like a lead or something, and find out, So you really, at the end of the day, to build that opportunity out, there's habits as we go through all of our Ignite classes, one of the things we're going to find is there's going to be a lot of best practices we talk about. When we use the word habits a lot too. And what we know from, there's books about it. There's a great book called Tiny Habits, which is really great. They talk about habit stacking. We all know, right, with diets, things we've all talked about in our lives before real estate, there are habits that lead to outcomes, or there are habits lead to outcomes. There are the better habits that we know for ourselves. Have we said, hey, if I could do this regularly, I'll have a better outcome. And it's the same is true in running a business. Running a business especially in real estate, is exactly that. It's, successful realtors. When I say successful, by the way, anytime I use the word success, my definition of success is that it's creating the business, or essentially the business worth owning that you want it to be. So it could be that for one of the agents I coached for years, a successful business for her was being able to travel 6 months of the year and sell houses the rest of the time. So that was success for her, right? And for other people, it might be selling, more homes in the state than anyone else. I don't know, whatever. I just wanted you to know, when you hear success, there is not one definition. My idea of success is am I helping? If you ask me and said, Eric, I want to be successful, and I'm coaching you, then I'm gonna say, okay, well, what does success look like to you? What would feel like, and what would that actually be for you? What would success be for you? And then we would define that. And when we've defined that, then we would look at what are the steps, what are the habits, what are the activities and things that you need to do day to day in order to actually to reach your success, whatever that actually is. So what we've come to, our company studies, Keller Williams studies this. Gary Keller even has a research department at Baylor that he funds to research consumers and all this stuff. When he wrote way back when he wrote the Red Book, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, and all the materials that our company has basically accumulated have come from understanding what are things that work for people. There's not somebody just sitting in a room somewhere going, oh, I think this might work. Let's make that a core competency. No, it's recognizing these are the things that we see work over and over and over for people over and over again. So the 6 core competencies of business are not just manufactured out of nowhere. They are truly the priorities that you must focus on. You really need to be focused on these as you build your business, as you run your business. If you want to have any semblance of success for yourself, right? So the lack of anxiety around am I on track? It's these core competencies. It just boils down to working at these core competencies. So what you want to do is incorporate these core competencies into all the activities that you do in your business, and honestly, I would say personally in your personal life, because what we know is as a sole proprietor realtor, especially, but even as not, I coach small business, other businesses like wineries and others, and I can tell you that these people, their personal life falling apart affects their business entirely. It really does. There's no they can't just say, well, yeah, me and my brother are having a falling out over here, but my business is going just fine. It's like, well, if somebody else is running your business, maybe, but if you're involved in your business, then your life falling apart on the one hand, or not functioning well, or you're not sleeping well, your health, or fill in the blank. If that's not going well, your business is not going to go well. It's gonna have an effect. So my goal personally, and us as a company, we want to support you in your whole life, because we know that as we do, and as we talk about these core competencies and other things that we've come to find are really good for all of us. As we talk about all of them, we're talking about applying it to our whole lives, truly. And when we do that, we know that it's going to result in success. So, and again, success is what I said it was. So let's talk about these 6 core competencies. Any questions thus far? You guys good? Okay. So here we are, if I was to if you were walking in the door right now and I was here, and I'd say, I might, if this was the first time you walked in the door, I could say, hey, welcome to your new job, welcome to your career in real estate. You are welcome to this crazy world of being a realtor. So the first thing I've just gone through, I'd want to say to you, really, let's look at this these 6 core competencies, because you're going to build your whole future on these 6 core competencies. So, what I would say, so if we look at the first one, they're all on the screen. I don't need to read them to you, but I would say, I would just ask any of you guys, are there any of those things there that you feel, based on where you are, and I know that some people have some more experience here than others, but is there anybody that's willing to just say, hey, yeah, I've been doing it for a little while, I feel really good about this already, or I feel good about that, even though I just started, or I have a lot to learn about all these. Anybody want to just throw it out there? Feel free. I'd love to hear if anybody feels really good about those areas.
I like appointments.
Ah,
I feel like I could kill it if I could get to the appointment.
thank you. Yeah. You're not alone.
Yeah, I
by-
totally agree with you. It's getting those appointments. That's the harder part, I
Yeah.
think.
Right?
Picking up that 10-pound phone.
And I gotta say, I don't have a problem chewing someone's ear off. Like I said, ran into you at the grocery store and you compliment my bag, and then we're gonna start talking about real estate. Just let me be able to talk to you. That's really my thing. The lead generating, the getting the appointments, I feel pretty confident in.
Yeah.
Negotiating is one that I'm kind of curious on with this shifting market, and I want to use terms that I don't want to use, like the more buyer friendly realm that we're in, being able to negotiate, in more favor of buyers. That's one that I would definitely like to expand on a little bit, as being a newer agent myself and in the game for a whole 3 months. I want to be able to, I don't want to have to make those mistakes throughout the transaction, because ultimately we all know our fiduciary responsibility is to our client, and the best thing that I can do is negotiate the best deal I possibly can, the way I see it, especially in a time like this when the people's viability is really low.
Yeah, no, thank you. And, this is why I asked that, because Gary and Tim also mentioned, the reality is, for any of us, we might be coming from a different, as we go through these, you might find you're coming from a different field or a different line of work, and you might start going, oh, actually this part I get, or this part I feel really good with, or it's like Amanda was talking about, there's aspects of this job that she's super comfortable with. And that in and of itself isn't the business. And that's the challenge for all of us, truly, as we are building. That's why there's 6 core competencies, not just like, well, just get one and you're good to go. What you're going to find is that all 6 play together to make that business that really makes your not only your business, but your life hum. Now, some of these are actually specific to business, but as you go through and you kind of learn about some of these things, you'll find that that you might have to adjust some things about you, the way you are as a person, learning how to communicate differently, adjust some of your approaches to things, because you'll find that not only are there different types of human beings and different personalities out there, and one of the most effective techniques is to learn how to communicate in what they call mirror and match, to learn how to communicate in the same way that somebody feels comfortable communicating. But you'll also find that there's just different ways things that we all bring to the table naturally. So that's that E to P conversation that for the new people here, it's being entrepreneurial, like what you already know and how you know it will get you so far. But at some point, in order to get past that, you need to become very purposeful. You need to say, okay, I need to learn more in order to keep moving forward. I need to be very intentional, very purposeful about learning this or getting better at this or whatever, these things in order to actually continue to grow and I mean, in every area of your life. So athletes, doesn't matter, there's what you can do naturally and there's what it takes to keep moving forward. So that's part of the reason I asked this. So you all can see, hey, you know what, it turns out some of these things I feel pretty comfortable with, but without the others, it's going to be really hard. So jumping into what, Tim and Gary alluded to here, this number one is lead generate, capture, and convert appointments. Like I talked about on the other page, if we don't have leads, we don't have business at the end of the day. I mean, that's what it is. So really what it comes down to is we have this is truly our first priority. I mean, you'll find them in your career, and especially the longer you're in it, that even if you're if you're just adequate, you're going to get, some business is going to come to you here and there, but that's not running a business. That's just, the accidental, kind of stuff that just kind of shows up now and then. Running a business is getting from the point of, okay, I've got some, I can just walk down the street and find a quarter, to I actually need to generate revenue here, so this is why this is really the first core competency that we want to master. If you want to have a thriving business, not just surviving, you truly need to basically, you need to become a master at lead generating, capturing, and converting appointments. Because honestly, if you actually literally did nothing other than that, you could truly hire out the rest. And you can even hire some of this, but it's, you need to actually become really good at this in order to even leverage, is the term we all refer to a lot. In order to hire out even some part of your lead generating, you have to be a master at it yourself, because it's your system and it's essentially your pipeline that you're creating, and it has to be you that does that. And then you could hire other agents truly even to go out and meet with buyers and show them houses, and hire another agent to go meet with listings and get the listing, but it's based on your business. So I'm probably overdoing it kind of on this point, but I want to make sure it's clear that this is your business. You are in a lead generate, capture, and conversion of business. And if you just did that alone, you have a successful career ahead of you. We can figure out the rest. So, any questions on that before I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I think I made it pretty clear. Obviously from there, once you have those opportunities, once you have those clients, then you get to really meet with potential sellers, meet with potential buyers, and get some sort of agreement to actually work together. So just as a very short kind of summary of this, a buyer, what you'll find, and a couple things I'll interject here, in our current climate, you're going to find, well, I'll start with sellers. So with sellers, sellers often and historically, statistically, typically don't even meet with more than one realtor. We all have this sort of fear that all of us realtors always carry around, like, oh my gosh, there's going to be 28 other realtors interviewing or whatever, No, it is very often just one. It is just one. It's somebody referred them to you, or they found your information or whatever. And even if they're playing like they're interviewing people, statistically, it is very few that actually ever interview more than one realtor. And so go in there owning it, and you're already 80% there, So as the market shifts, we're not going to, the goal of this class isn't to go and do a deep dive on this, but understand that as the market shifts, sellers will act, they may be coming from fear. They may be coming from different places in their life. And your appointments may look a little different, and you may not convert as many as you maybe, for those that have been in business longer, you may not convert as many as you have in the past. And then again, you may, because what we know is, as we build skills, as what has been shown in the past, building our skill set up. So the fact that you guys are all here learning is the first step in that. Building your skill set up and becoming a master at these different types of things in a market like this will cause you to just naturally come out of the market in a better position than most. Not just in real estate. This is true of all markets. This is true of all business, of all things. It's like when we're in a time of change and uncertainty, and a shift, basically, is the word. When things are shifting, when you focus on building your skills and applying those skills you can't just sit home and apply them. I mean, I'm talking build skills and go out and apply those skills to the market. So when you learn about what's going on with the market as well as you can, and you learn about what the information that sellers basically need from you, and you're able to communicate that, that's where you'll win those listing appointments over and over again. And then when you learn how to really, the rest of the aspects of selling a house that we're not going into today, then you will really have more success in actually getting listings closed in a harder market. So anyway, skill building is vital in this market. Buyers, a reason I want to bring this up too, is something to keep in the back of your mind. You will encounter, as we are moving forward in a coming time here, whatever that ends up being, months, years. There's been you've probably seen press or news over these lawsuits around that essentially are predicated to sort of they're trying to basically take away our protection if in a certain way, but it's trying to create an environment that corporate real estate players can actually play better than we can play as individuals. That's sort of their idea of trying to make, buyer agent commissions transparent, they're trying to sue and say that we had this, that we as realtors are sort of essentially colluding and fixing commissions, and so I would tell you now, don't talk about commissions and like averages to other realtors or on public forums, especially. You could just talk about what you feel the value you bring is worth this, or I charge this for what I bring, don't say, well, the standard is, because there's no standard. So I want to mention that now because it's almost like a disclaimer, but understand that as we move forward, you may see the use of buyer. So right now we use listing contracts with sellers to, we write a contract with them and they agree to have us be the representation for them to sell their house or to cause their house to sell is actually what we're doing. As a buyer's agent, we may move more and more towards you have a contract with your buyer and that they are hiring you to represent them legally. So just be open to that, get into this mindset that that's a good thing, not a bad thing. Don't listen to anybody that tells you otherwise. All the reasons why they can't, or all the reasons why they never have. Great, that's good for them. But today is today and tomorrow is tomorrow, not what the past is the past, and we're not doing things the way we used to. So just be embracing those best practices moving forward, and you will be a higher level agent moving, into whatever market we have or whatever environment we have, you'll be prepared. So having said all that, you'll go through and you'll be able to, as we, as you learn these different aspects of presenting, we'll make sure that both through Ignite and through our coaching that you feel confident in presenting and negotiating those contracts with your listings and your buyers. The next core competency is showing buyers and market sellers. So those are two different things, but that's a core competency. So that's what I was hitting at earlier is, speaking of sellers, marketing the home, causing the home to sell is actually what that is. So, hey, can I hire you to sell my house? Like, well, I'm not going to go out there and sell it, but what you're hiring me for is to all the things I do cause your house to sell. And then I, negotiate the best possible terms and deal based on what you want. Now, sometimes it's the highest price, but I will tell you, I just had this discussion with a forum yesterday. It is very often not highest price. There are other factors in addition to price that will play into it. And so, and especially all good stuff. I mean, not any, unfair sort of housing things. It's just simply like, hey, I met these people and I fell in love with them and they're nice people and I want them to live in my house. I want to sell it to them. There's nothing wrong with that. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. So that's you're gonna face as you basically hone the skill in this market. You're gonna face the need to be really, really good at doing everything that will cause a house to sell. Like we just came out of the insanity market, which wasn't even it was beyond crazy. In that insanity market, you literally didn't even have to put a sign in the yard. You barely even had to put it in the MLS and they would get, a great deal. I mean, in many ways, the sellers really didn't need our help. And really good realtors could bring value to that on top of the market. And in the end, I mean, a monkey could I always tell people like, well, what do I need you for? It's like, you don't need me. You can get the house sold. Now, if you want the best price and the best negotiated terms and the least headache and all the other things I could tell you, then that's why you're hiring me. But if you just if you want to say that the house sold and you don't care what the price is and whatever, then, that's that. In this market we're in now, it's going to be different. And the ability for the house to sell and sell for the best possible price and terms that work for your seller, given what the market conditions are, is going to require you to really step it up and learn and hone those skills. And as is for buyers, I mean, truly, I would say, the best thing to understand about buyers is your job isn't just driving them around or meeting them at houses and opening doors. That is not your job. Your job is, and again, this class isn't intended to go deep dive on all this stuff, but just understand that your skills as a buyer, as an agent working with a buyer is so much more than that. And, you know, starting with understanding who they are and what they're all about and why this home purchase makes sense for them, whether it's for an investment reason or whether it's for, you know, basically a change in life or an improvement in their life some way. That whole ball of wax around why that move is important to them, it's vital that you understand how to do that really well, especially in this market, because the truth is people will face doubt and they will face uncertainty and they will be facing you know, roadblocks, as it will feel like, you know, wow, man, the rates are so high, like, does this make sense for me? And you're going to say, you're going to meet with them and you're going to talk about it and you're going to get their whole life and you're going to go, no, you know what? I would not move right now if I was you. That might be your conversation. And you're going to say that because you're going to understand all that and you're going to hone this core competency and you're going to be very good at it. And you're not just out there going, what? Yeah, I'll drive you around. Yeah, let's open this door for you. And you waste hours of your time, their time. And in the end, they go, oh my gosh, I can't buy a house right now. And you're like, wait, what? I wasted all this time on you. I mean, I spent all this time with you, you know? So in order to avoid that and not be that kind of, you know, low hanging fruit agent, you want to be, you truly want to be the kind of agent that basically gets the job done in terms of really serving them well. And then speaking of getting the job done right, negotiate contracts is a key aspect, of course, because that's what you're doing in the end. But it is just to kind of remind you, that is only kind of the, it's really like it's sort of the middle, it's like the last leg of the race in a way, because truly, if you serve and you set expectations and you do all the work with your clients on the front end, the writing, negotiating the contracts, the writing part and negotiating is a lot easier. I've taught negotiating classes in the past, and one of the key aspects of that is understanding the importance of the amount of basically front end work you do in order to actually have the benefit of having something to work with when you're negotiating, having, you know, the tools that you need and knowing your client really well and having set expectations so that even if things don't go well, that you've already set them up for success regardless and not having disappointment on and on and on. So your whole understanding the actual paperwork of contracts, whatever, you know, you can get help with that. You'll master that easy enough. But the core competency of knowing what to write, knowing what sort of, because there's all sorts of different things. So price and terms. So the terms are key. There's all sorts of things you can do with, you know, the market we just came out of, you know, giving people possession later, giving, you know, having an inspection, but not having it be contingent on that, or not having inspection at all. And all these are all just terms that we would learn how to basically package and create winnable contracts. You know, this market, that package will look totally different and it will be just as important. So, and in fact, on the negotiating side in this market, on the seller side, your ability to understand and master representing the seller's interest in a market where the seller may or may not, the seller down the street may have more legs to stand on, but this house potentially doesn't, because it's not quite as desirable. And you're like, and your client's upset because why did all 3 houses in the neighborhood sell in the first weekend and this one's still sitting? And it's like, well, maybe we didn't master helping them see their house for what it really is. And maybe we missed something, and maybe we didn't set them up for success mentally. So they didn't reduce their price when the other one sold for less than what theirs actually was, and on and on and on. There's so many like things we could, obviously there'll be classes on this, but there's so many reasons why mastering that truly makes you an agent that actually will succeed at a higher level than just simply, I sat and wrote an offer. Oh, it didn't get accepted. You know, oh, I had another sale fail on my listing. It's like, I see sale fails as not every time, but I see all of them as a lack of mastery. You can't obviously save them all. And many of them are that. And I've been around coaching agents, run teams, and I've seen agents, I've been like, I'm just shaking my head going, you guys killed that deal. That deal was a winnable. You could have put that together basically. But you agents not being good at what you do is what killed that, you know? So, and of course, the key aspect here, coordinating the final closing. Again, I was just coaching, I have an agent that just had her first closing. So we were just talking through like the fundamentals of coordinating the final, the whole, basically the path from the getting under contract to closing. And in her case, it was the last, the getting over the finish line there, like simple stuff like where do the keys go? But there are simple aspects of that. But when you master basically what I just said before, keeping the deal together from the time it goes under contract all the way to closing, that's really where the difference maker is. Like there are things that all sorts of nuanced things, important things that you'll learn and throughout this process that will help you become really basically a master at that. And one of the things you'll find is that there are aspects along all of these where, as you were to grow your business, you might get to a point where you find, and a goal with the term leverage, we talk about leverage, is like hiring somebody. The goal with leverage is to find people who can do that aspect of the job even better than you, and potentially even at a lower cost for the value of the job. So as you go through these, you'll say, hey, maybe I'm not really great at this, or I've got enough deals coming in, I'm having a tough time keeping up with follow-up here and that there and that there. It's time for me to add my first hire, which would always be the admin, to start picking up and doing a better job at some of these systematic things that you could do better, and your business needs to serve the client better, but you're just running yourself crazy and you just don't have time, or you're just not as good at it, So but that's part of becoming good at it, is recognizing what you're good at and what you're not, and figuring out where you can leverage out the things that you can, where it makes sense and when it makes sense. So that's part of becoming very good at running a business, is knowing what to hand off, knowing when it's a good time to hand it off. And then really the last thing is you could do all this, right? You could do everything we just talked about. You could get your big fat commission checks, and then you could be like, I've heard at least, well, actually it's a lot more than half. I was gonna say half the successful agents would probably be more accurate to say, because well more than half the agents in the country, as you probably know, only sell a few deals a year. So really, I'm talking about half the actual successful agents. But I think the number is a lot bigger than half from when I learned. Many agents, let's just say, they get to the end of the year and they're like, where'd all my money go? And they're like, but I sold like 15 houses or 20 houses. And you're sitting there new, like you're seeing their name up on the wall, and you're seeing their numbers, and you're like, if you were the, could whatever, fly on the wall and at home, you're like hearing them like stressing about how to pay their bills and trying to figure out, all this other stuff. And you're like, how's that even possible? They're making like 3 times as much money as me, and I'm okay, So the reason is that we as small business owners, and actually large business owners, any of us, need to be managing our money. And if we do all the other competencies and don't do this one, we will find that at the end of the year, let's call it, we'll have more bills than we will money. We'll have a lot more stress than we should. At a minimum, we'll be surviving and not thriving. And that's not what we want that's not what I want for you. And I know that's not what you want for yourself, right? So don't overlook the importance of number 6. Managing your money is truly about how do you take, like this agent I was talking about that I coach, that she's like, how can I close or work essentially 6 months of the year and travel 6 months? How does she do that? Well, she has to manage her money. She had to master this core competency like right away, because in order for her to be able to do that, to fund her perfect life, I mean, she had to figure that out, and that her model for that is her model for that. And your model, I mean, there is going to be whatever, you could sit down with your coach, figure that out. Where do I need to end up in my finances, or what are my financial goals that I'm utilizing this career for, but to help me reach my goals. So what are those goals, and how does that play out into funding your perfect life? And figure out, we need to master this core competency of basically managing your money is the bottom line. Having a P&L statement, having understanding when to get a bookkeeper if that's not your core competency, which for many of us, if we are in a relationship business, there's the competency that's on essentially the personality trait that would make us good at managing our P&L statement, and our thing would be on the opposite end of that personality style that would make us naturally really good at this business. So don't be like, wow, what's my problem? Be more like, yep, I'm really awesome at this. I'm great with people. I'm great being out there. And the reason I'm not good at this is because I am good at this. So why don't I find a bookkeeper, and it's not expensive, and it will keep you looking and I mean, there's so many aspects here on this. I can't go deep on it now yet. Just know that it's truly important. It is truly, honestly, I mean, you have to have leads in the very beginning. Number one is critical, because you don't have that, this isn't even ever going to come. Let's assume you have that, and let's assume you've done some of these other things. If you get to the end of the year, like I started saying, and you've got all this money that came in and you don't have any money left over or left, left to pay your bills, that's a problem. And we need to none of us want that for you. We need to all work together to help each other kind of learn our best practices around this. And even, moving forward, like in a shift, Gary talks about, I think it's tactic 4, I could look here. He talks about expenses and managing your money. And one of the thing he says first is you got to manage your personal expenses. He doesn't just talk about business. He says, if you're keeping your money accountable and you're going to look at your expenses, the very first place you go is your personal life. You go, where am I pissing away money? Where am I buying coffee? Where do I have too many subscriptions to too many movie channels? Where do I, all those things add up, and if you could take that $150 a month you're spending on coffee and put it back into Facebook ads, and the average price per Facebook lead is between $2 and $10 a lead, well, you just have an opportunity to pick up another, maybe even just one transaction a month from that, if you're using like worst case statistics, so that's what we're talking about is learning how to be super competent with your managing your money. And in a shift right now, it's going to be critical that you do that, or you will find yourself in a world of hurt, like many people are going to. So those are the 6 competencies. Again, the goal of all the rest of these series is you'll take a deeper dive on all that, but any question on those? Anybody, any thoughts?
My biggest thing is lead generation. The how-tos. I mean, I know a few ways, but that's the hardest part for me. And if I could accomplish that and get good at lead generating, then I think I would be successful. Because, like we talked about earlier, once I'm in front of somebody, I do pretty good. It's just getting there.
Nice. Sorry, just random housekeeping. All right, what screen do you guys see?
Well, I see 4 of us off to the right-hand side of the screen, and then your screen.
That's nice. I just got wondering about that. I was like, why is this? Because it was looking different for me than it should. That behind me is what should be on the screen. And that's super, I'm like, oh, okay. It doesn't really matter. It's just helpful for me to know what's working, what's not on this setup, what they got for us here. I wonder if I could, yeah. That's interesting. Is that better?
Sure.
Better for me.
I think I just figured out something. Anyway, so yeah, so of the 6 core competencies, when you think about these aspects, I mean, it's truly, it's really boils down to those 6. Everything we do kind of fits in within that, right? If you look back at the first thing here, basically the first chart on there, it's, the becoming an expert, lead generation, lead follow-up, transaction. And really these 6 core competencies cover it all. There is no other aspect of this business other than that, so to speak. When you master those things, you truly have the business that is going to weather any storm and get you through. Obviously, to do all that, we got to have the right mindset. And if we don't have the right mindset, our next page to whatever it is here, the reality is, we're going to face challenges. We're going to have things we can celebrate. We're going to have all sorts of different, like, basically the ebbs and flows of running a business. And the bottom line is we got to have our mind in the right place. They don't go too far into it here, but in like what I've come to realize in coaching people is I think did you guys go through this on your why and your, all that? Was that in the last class or there? I think that might be in a future one. I don't know for sure here. But anyway, the idea is you got to really connect with, okay, what's the reason that I'm doing this, and help really basically align who you are and why you're doing what you're doing. And that's all your mindset, because at the end of the day, whether it's this or whether you're an athlete training for something or whether you're just a craftsman in something, you're going to face challenges. And if you're going to move through those challenges and not just avoid them, you're going to have to basically plow through or power through using, whatever energy deep down you have. And typically, and really what we've all known, the human condition really is the psychology tells us that if we have something on the other side of this challenge that is drawing us through, we do so much better than we do if we're just feeling like we're being forced through the mud. If something can pull us through so much easier, pull us across the chasm of the challenge that we have in front of us. And we'll get to the other side because we'll see that in that reason for getting up, whether it's somebody that's we're in a third world country we're supporting and saving, or whether it's our children's college fund, or whether it's an immediate personal need or a health need or whatever, right? It's got to be something that is meaningful and deep down for us that will pull us through each of the challenging things that we face. So I just mentioned that because it is truly like important to that. I'm going to do a quick little administrative thing here. Try to fix something. I think this thing, it reversed my screens when I was setting this up, and I'm going to try to flip it really quick if I can. If it will cooperate. We just set up this training room and it's great. And it's got some great stuff in it. And as things go, it turns out it's not like to me, it's missing kind of a critical thing. So there we go. Okay. Good. Now I have to get that. If I can pull that down onto this screen. Come on, baby. Get on there. There we go. There we go. Now let me see if I can do this again. And then I can go like this. I can go like that. I can go like this. How's that? Good? You guys got the goods there? With any luck, I can get you guys off the screen. I don't know if I can actually. Well, maybe not. Well, you can't have everything. That's what's interesting. Escape. See if I can pull this off of the screen. All the good, fun things about technology. I think I need to actually. There we go. Now we're cooking with gas. Okay, now I can do this. Get off of there. Go away, go away. Okay. Are we back in business? Everybody good? Okay. So mindset matters. Where are we at? Okay. We talked about mindset and the importance of it. What I want to say here too is one of the things that's really interesting about this business, and I said it before, is there's there can be this, because we're in a sales business, right? And a lot of the chatter you'll hear, or the things that you're going to hear in the office, oh, is this numbers, or selling this many things, these many homes, or this much GCI, or this volume, or whatever. And it can be easy to really fall back into a sell. I'm in a sales business. I'm and some people even argue, and I've heard it argued pretty well, that, well, you are in a sales business. And it's like, well, I'm not saying we're not selling. What I'm saying is how we're selling, right? So we all know of businesses out there that are truly what we're selling as a service. We're not a product. Us as human beings and what we do for a job, we're not products. We are services. So what we are offering people truly is the service of who we are and what we bring to the table, and all of those skills that we are perfecting from those core competencies. As we perfect those things, that's what they're buying. I mean, that's what they're hiring us for, right? So it's important to have your philosophical kind of like framing of what it is you do here in the right place. Because if you don't, what you're going to find is that you're going to get lost in, I need another deal. How can I get them to buy this, just buy some house because I need a commission, and you may be sitting there thinking to yourself, I would never do that. And yet what you're going to find is you're going to do that at some point. It's just a matter of whether you check yourself and put yourself back where you need to be and say, look, I'm here to serve. And people that serve well, people that are, the people that you see run really successful referral-based businesses do it because they serve well. The people who run non-referral-based businesses and are all about just, kind of cut and run, like give me the expireds list. And, they're just running they're like a machine kind of business, just get in, get out, get in, get out. There are agents that run their business that way. I don't coach to that. There are some people that like that, but even they have to serve the client well at some point, or it ends up, they will never end up with referral or repeat business. They'll have to always be reinventing themselves. And even most of those business models realized that at some point they have to add an aspect of caring for the customer and nurturing the people that they've already sold their house to or sold for or whatever, because that's the easiest business to get again. Because statistically, the number of people that use their realtor again is a lot lower than we'd like to see it. It's very low, and it's low not because, as the studies have been done, it's not because they wouldn't use their realtor. Like most people state they would use their realtor again, and most people never heard from their realtor again. So that's on us, right? Because we weren't there. Those people they forgot to serve their client well and say, hey, if I can provide this value to them, to this customer over and over again, that's good for the customer, and I need to do that, because that's the philosophy of basically, like I said at the very beginning, contributing to their betterment of their life, really, through whatever this purchase is, whether even if it's just an investment, it's an improvement for the life. So really think about that, think about the energy, mindset. There's all sorts of books and things on mindset, right? You guys, this is not a new topic. And yet, because of what you do and the interaction, you're not just sitting behind a desk making widgets in a factory, and it's only you and the machine that you're sitting there with that you have to figure that out with. Your whole job is the success of it depends on your ability to connect and interrelate with people and have an effect on their life. And if you really believe that and understand that philosophically, and bring the right energy to that, bring the right enthusiasm, bring the things that people want. Because remember, you're a guide. And this is something that I will a soapbox. you're gonna hear more from me on over time. But you are not their hero. No matter what anybody tells you, they're wrong. You are not their hero. You are their guide. They do not want you to be their hero, but they do want you to be their trusted guide. And for some people, this navigation is going to be like going through an overgrown jungle, and you're going to help them pick the right path and figure it out. For other people, it's going to be a lot easier. Either way, you're the hero of you is actually that you're their guide, getting them from here to there, wherever here is for them and wherever there needs to be for them. And oftentimes it's helping them figure out where there is, because that's what a guide does. A guide figures out, okay, well, based on everything you've told me, here's what, I understand, or here's what I'm hearing you say. Here's what, based on everything you've communicated to me, here's what I hear. And that wasn't what you originally told me, but this is what I'm hearing, or whatever, right? This is what a good guide does for somebody. So a good, you're almost like a consultant is another word we use to But I think of it in terms of just the idea of story, like the part of their story that you're playing is you're the guide at this point in their life to take them from here to there. So get your mindset in that place, build your business around that, and you'll shine. You'll do well. And what else? What are some other points I have on my list here? Yeah, I mean, oh, actually, here's a couple that I have in my, I used to teach out of this other one, but they put them in here. How long would you guys say on average? Anybody want to, well, hey, for the people that have not been in the business, so the people that have, wait and don't chime in right away. How long would most people that haven't been around think that it takes for, to get like a buyer or seller, let's say, to sign a contract for a sale or for a listing? It can be a little different, but let's just say in general, to get a buyer or seller under contract, how long would you new folks guess that would be?
Just as long as it would take to fill out the paperwork, I would imagine.
Okay, so there's that, but let's just say from like including what it takes to get to that point.
Like the listing appointment or buyer consultation appointment? Or are you including like time to get the lead, to get the appointment, to get to that?
Yeah, that more like all that, right?
Just seems like, I mean, it's a multi-step process, obviously, to get to that point. So, I mean, it could be multiple days if all of those things are not occurring on the same day.
Yeah. Anybody else want to chime in? Want their thoughts on that?
I could be way off, but I'm just guessing, like from what I read, like for a new agent, it can take like months or something like that to happen. That's my guess.
Yeah, that's more what it is. It can be like a couple of months, 30, 60 days easily depending on how much time you put into actually finding those leads, cultivating them, getting them, to agree to work together, going and looking. I mean, we're talking more general averages, not I did my first open house the first week I got my license and I had a buyer show up that wanted to write an offer right then. Yeah, that happens. And that's not the norm. So what we look at is it often, even not just for new people, I mean, just for any of it, like today, if I went out and said, hey, I need to find a buyer and get them under contract, how long is that going to take? I should tell myself, that's probably going to be about 60 days, potentially 30 to 60 days from the time it takes me to go out, start getting that machine going, make some calls, do some open houses, meet some people, do some follow-ups, find out where they're at, connect them with that, get them out, see some houses, right? I mean, that's, if I did that really well, I could, maybe 30 days, I could probably get somebody under contract, or even get a listing and calling around and they say, great. And I find somebody, their lead, they say, okay, we'll come by next week. So that's a week later. And then, then they change the appointment. So now it's another week, right? So it's like easy for that time frame to be 30 to 60 days. How long would you say, do you guys know, for the people again that are newer, what do you guess for a transaction from the time you get an offer accepted? How long would it typically be before you see money from that? Or just anybody can chime in at this point.
Did you say
30
from
to
the
60 days?
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's about a month to 2 months. Typical closing time frame. Some of this you can control, some of this you can't. A lot of times there's a lot of aspects you personally cannot control. You're just influencing it, right? You're working with the parameters that that are there. But just as a rule of thumb, and when I for example, when you're talking to a seller, let's say you've got a listing and it's going live like this weekend, right? Today's Wednesday. It's going live this week, and they can say, well, how quickly would I be able to sell it? And let's just say the market is fine right now. It's normal, it's moving along, and it's a good house, it's priced appropriately. So kind of we're taking out the what if factors and just kind of saying, okay, so it's on the market for a week or two and there's no, it's not some panic buyer that's saying, well, once a buyer says, I'll close in, 3 weeks. The other buyer says, okay, I'll close in 2.5 weeks. And the other buyer says, well, then I'll close in 2 weeks. Without none of that crap. Normal stuff. I would tell a listing client going active this weekend, I'd say, well, I would expect to see your money in about 45 to 60 days, best case scenario. That's what I would tell them. And we would see our paycheck from that, or our check from that roughly a day or two later. Usually it depends on whether it closes on a Friday or something. But so the reality is, if you think about your mindset in this business, if you want to have income in 60 plus 60, 120 days. If you want to have income in 120 days, you better be doing the activities today. Like today is the activity. The activities you do today is your paycheck in basically if you're up and rolling already. So like for me, what my coach would tell me is my activities right now are everything I'm doing right now is the income that I'm going to earn in January and February. That's what they would be telling me. Now you can't use what ifs because it actually could be that maybe another opportunity pops up and maybe you have a quick closing or whatever. But the reality truly is the efforts and the things that you put in today is what brings you revenue. I would say typically 4 to 6 months for a new agent. It could be 4 to 6 months easily. But for most of us, usually 3 to 4 to 5 months is not unreasonable because you figure maybe you talk to a seller. Like I have a seller right now. I'm really solid with this seller, but this seller at the end of the day, they're not ready to list their house today. They still got to find a house. They still got to do a couple of improvements to their current house. They got to, so we might be like 2 months down the road before we list it, at least, and maybe longer. And maybe they wait until January, right? But that's a piece of business that I've nurtured and gotten to the point where it is now, and it's going to be another so many months, right? That's not uncommon. That stuff does happen. So if you average those together between that, and then like one of the agents I'm coaching reached out and said, I got this listing. It was supposed to be going live in November. They just called me like the next morning and said, let's just make it live ASAP. That's like, he's like, what do I do? Because he wasn't prepared. He had time to kind of figure all that out, it was his first listing. So now all of a sudden they're like, we want it on the market ASAP right now, like tomorrow type of thing. And he's like, but he had worked for that business. And for him, if they'd gone with their original timeline that business is probably would have been 60 plus days out at the shortest, to see an income from that, and more than likely even longer. So anyway, any questions about that or comments? Anybody stressed out about it already?
Oh yeah, no.
Good, because that's the goal. The goal for me telling you all that, honestly, the goal is not for you to be stressed out. Yet the goal actually is for me to light a fire under your butt and say, look, you got to get out there and make it happen. It's not going to happen on its own. And if you need to make money in this business and you need to make it sometime in the next 4 to 6 months, today is the day you get started on it. Not tomorrow. You don't wait till, I think I'm going to need some money at the end of the month. I better go put in some hours. Like nobody's paying you for your hours in this business. But the flip side is nobody's paying you just for your hours in this business. You can put in way less hours and make way more money if you're doing the right things. When you get that momentum up in this business, the crazy thing is you can make an amazing dollar per hour, like an astronomical dollar per hour without exaggerating. You can truly, if you learn how to leverage and do stuff well, easily in your first year, you could truly only work 30 hours a week and make a really good income. But you have to focus on the right things and do the right things that we ask you. We don't just ask you, but we encourage you to focus on. And as your coach say, do these things. And if you go fiddle around and do other things and waste your time, then yeah, you'll put in more time. But if you did just go out and do those things, you're going to make an way above average dollar per hour for yourself and still have the flexibility to do other things from time to time. So the goal of sharing those timelines is to help you really understand that it's super important that you develop the skills, you develop the right everything you need in the right mindset to carry you through so that you can actually, you know, make it really well, right? As I said before, the lead generation every day is going to be critical to that. And then as you do that, the value of your business, remember this too, by the way. So mindset wise, you're in the business to serve others and just basically to bring value. So that's what serving is, right? Serving is bringing value to other people. So if we are in this from not what's in it for me, if we walk around saying, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? What's in it for me? We're going to fail. I will tell you right now, you will fail. You got to flip that around and have it. What's in it for them? How can I serve them? How can I serve them? How can I serve them? Amanda and I talked about this because she's got a niche of healthcare for elderly, basically. And it's like I said, if you go out and look at how can I serve them, the referrals will take care of themselves. If you just go out there and serve those businesses and figure out what do they need from me to help serve, what do they need me to serve them and help them, that's where the reciprocity will work. It does work because it creates an imbalance. The psychology of it, I mean, I don't need to get lost in that, but the short of it is it creates an imbalance in all of us. And even people that aren't aware of it, they feel that imbalance and they end up, so there's a lot of scripts you'll learn, a lot of things you'll learn, that the goal of it is to create that imbalance by serving them in a way that they just feel almost like internally obligated to somehow, you know, do something in return. And it creates it's almost like you guys have probably heard of relationship counseling where you make deposits in the bank, you know, and because you need to have that bank needs to be full. It's just, that's how you manage this whole business. So if you build that business around serving others and you do that, and essentially you call it lead generating, you do that every day, all the time. And then you put those people that you've gotten to know into what we call a database, or some people call it a data bank to reference that it's worth something. Then at the end of the day, you have something worth selling, because truly the value of your real estate business is the database. It is nothing else. That's it. There is no value. If you want to retire and sell your business, if you want to read up on how to get out the exit strategy for a realtor or anything else, it is all about who's in your database and how well connected or how well served are those people, and how essentially what it's digging down into is how loyal, how many referrals do these people send you? Like, what's the value of are the people very well taken care of? They love you, they love your brand, they love the service that you provide. Everybody in there refers at least 3 a year, whatever, right? That database is worth gold, because that's where the revenue comes from. Somebody would pay you really good money for that. But if you just like, oh, I got a bunch of names in a hat here in my Outlook or whatever on your phone, and yeah, I think I call one or two of them every so often, that value is zero. There's no value. You know, you might get a deal or two out of it yourself, but there's no value there. So think of your database as really the true value. It's the gold of your business. It's what you own that's worth something, so long as you do something with it that helps by the way, having your database, serving your database well, ultimately it's going to bring you business. You're going to have transactions. You're going to have the opportunity. You're going to have the at bats. You have the opportunity to get up to the plate and swing. And if your skill set's really good, if you've mastered those 6 business core competencies, then you're going to hit it every time. And you're going to, some market factors will allow you to go all the way around the bases and others won't. But if you can get up there and do your best every time, that's all you really can basically strive for, because you can't control people's response, but what you can control is what you do, right? So you can keep controlling what you say and adjust it. You can keep controlling your skills. You can control all that. And then, you can do everything, and a windstorm comes in tomorrow and blows the house down. That's not your fault. You did everything right. It's how you do it and how you respond. That's what you can stand on and do that well every single day. If you have that mindset, you've got something worth building on it every day, truly. So basically, all that is to say mindset, truly, what was the quote? They put a quote in here from yesterday. Oh, anybody can do it, but not everybody will. Will you? Will you commit to the 6 core competencies? And truly, that's my question. And that's why I've been sort of beating that drum here for a little while, is because I truly believe that it is important that you master these core competencies if you want to really have a foundation of business to stand on. So any questions on that, or
I'd love to add something real
Yeah,
quick.
please.
So when I first got my license, there was a gentleman in my market that's still very successful. He's with the Blue Company, and he runs a pretty successful business. But I was in a transaction with him, and I realized that I'm a very caring fiduciary, and I will always be able to beat him on that front. And so that was a mindset I took on early, was I may be brand new to this business, but I'm already better than most of the agents in this business because I care at that level. And it kind of turned over for me early. Instead of it being about the experience I didn't have, it was all the experiences I had before real estate that allowed me to be the fiduciary. And I would just encourage some of the new folks on the call to kind of internalize what's your unique value proposition and what is it that you did before real estate that you can bring to what we're doing, and add on that, and then just stay with that in your mind instead of letting yourself get talked out of it, because being new is tough, but you're your own worst enemy if you can't get out of your head.
Yeah, it's brilliant, Josh. And it's kind of funny. Eric kind of called me out a little bit on that, having one of the first meetings that we ever interacted in, knowing that I came from the medical field. Just for some of the people who don't know me, I worked with dementia care for 2 years. And when I got into real estate, the one thing that I knew was that there is a need for homes being listed. And so I capitalized on that. And even actually most recently, and just kind of piggybacking on what Josh is saying, for a lot of, I'm sure everyone here, or at least most of us, has done something other than real estate before this. I was a bartender and a waitress. I became very good friends with the manager. She calls me up and she says, "Hey, Amanda, I know that this is a total stretch because you're super busy. Is there any way you can come and bartend just a couple of the busy nights a week?" Absolutely not a problem, because she said it was fine for me to wear my real estate pin one busy night, and I handed out 3 business cards. Because it was just, I knew I was going to be in front of people. People are going to start chatting and jawing away. And, I'm not saying that you got to go back to your other jobs, but look at those kinds of opportunities and run with them, because you have a leg up having already been there and done that.
Yeah. Well said. I mean, there are definitely many ways that you can weave in what your past experience is. And it's what Josh was saying, like, there are things that you've done in your life that prepared you for this moment. Here you are. It's today. What was this? Embrace your job is the name of this class today, right? And that's all we want. Just get your arms around this. Say, I'm going to take this job. Seriously, I'm going to take this, as they say, what do they say? Take the bull by the horns. I'm going to take this real estate job, and I'm just going to make the best of this thing. Like, you guys are all in a great position where you've got this whole 20 some, I don't even know how many, there's more than that. I think 30, there's a lot of classes that are here. Not because we're, telling you, oh, you got to go to class. No, it's because we're saying we're offering this many hours of value to you to help equip you so that you can be amazing. Because we want you to truly, as I said in the beginning, to have a business worth owning, a life worth living. That business worth owning funds that life worth living. And this is truly a career where if you really embrace it and you master those 6 core competencies, I'm telling you, you don't even have to be a master at any one of those, and you'll do well. Because sadly, there are many people who just even aren't even trying, and they're doing some things well, and they're able to make some living. As we come into a shifting market, the truth is that it's going to be a skills-based market. As I said in the beginning, you can't just throw a sign up and hand a contract to a monkey and know that it's going to be done at the end of the day. You really got to skill up, as they say. And this isn't just you guys. You're in a perfect position. If you learn how to do real estate in a market like this, I guarantee you, and I'm guaranteeing this based on other people that have gone before me, showed the example, have said this. We've said that other leaders that have said they've seen it. And we've all seen these people who come into real estate in a market like this and learn how to do the right things in the right ways in a market like this. When the market gets easier, you will just think, oh my gosh, like I hit the lottery. Like your business will just explode. And you won't even, your mastery at that point will be figuring out how to leverage, figuring out how to get the right coaching so that you can not have your business explode and actually just grow, that'll be your challenge at that point. And on the flip side, if you just sit around going, oh, I got into real estate because I saw how easy it was, 6 months ago. Well, I got news for you. It isn't easy. But it is simple at the end of the day. It really isn't not complicated. It is not complicated business at all. And if you got your mindset, all the stuff I just said, if you got your mindset in the right place, you will do at least well. You don't have to be the most top sales agent, but you can do well and provide a good living for yourself and your family. Yet you won't, that will never happen if you don't have the right mindset. So one key aspect of that is what is our role, like he talked about. So truly at the end of the day, whoops, going the wrong way. It helps if I go the right way. Well, here, this quote is pretty good, to Gary Killers: to achieve your highest potential, these 6 core components must be done consistently and done well. There's all sorts of, I have my stack of books here to kind of reference. I've got The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, The One Thing, Shift. There's a lot of good stuff from there. But what we know after the 6 core competencies is understanding that your role as a fiduciary for your clients is a key aspect, because as I said before, there's serving and then there's, just selling, right? A functional person, not a fiduciary, fiduciary and a functional. And so if you think of functional, let's just say there's different ways to look at it, I guess you could say. Let's say you're just everybody here has a car, right? So if you had to take your car in for service, I think that I personally like this example. Take the car in for service. If they don't really ask about, your needs or whatever, and they're just like, I need this repair, this repair, they just, maybe they call you back, maybe they don't. And then you call like 2 days later and then you're like, hey, so what's up with my car? And like, oh, it's fixed. We fixed the widget. It's sitting outside. And you're like, oh, okay. How do you feel about that? But if you take so I drive German cars. If I take and I've had a lot of different ones, or more sports cars or less sports cars, depending on the season of life. And let's say I partner with my shops and I take it in, and they know my car well. And they say, well, I know your goal is, and I know you drive a lot, and I know you like this to run well. And I know that, it also, like, just throwing money at it every week isn't the goal. Like a functional car, like a dealer. So a lot of these dealers anymore are they're functionals trying to act like fiduciaries, but really they're just functionals with adding some customer service onto it. Cause they're just like, give it to us. We'll put another part in, give it to us. We'll put another part in, give it to us. We'll put another part in. It may or may not fix it. They don't partner with you and say, okay, we get it. If you were to fix every little thing wrong with your Volvo, you're going to spend 20 grand on this $5,000 car. And that makes no sense at all. We're a fiduciary. We want to act as a fiduciary and actually say, okay, well, what makes sense? You need it to be reliable. Okay, well, this and this, let's do this month. Let's do that the next month. This can wait, whatever, and so they're really partnering with you in that decision making and in that thing. One is really, I think it's a good example because it's one we've all probably had to face. And if you think about how your interactions have been over your life with car, repair people, be it the dealer all the way down to just the guy on the corner, you can probably think about how those experiences might have varied, and how your thoughts about those experiences and how you felt about those experiences, and how you yourself would or wouldn't come back to them based on that experience, right? And real estate, while being much more complicated for other reasons, is really fundamentally a lot of the same thing, right? If we just show up some other companies that I won't name on here and just say, yep, here's the house. Okay, write the offer. Okay, I wrote it. It's done. Oh, you just didn't get it. You're like, okay, but people think, oh, I guess that's the real estate buying experience. Or when the market was crazy, people thought, what do I need a realtor for? I can just do this myself. Or yeah, you can transfer the title from one person to another and get some money in return. Yes, you can do that without us. There are the professional services you need between here and there that will allow that functional aspect to happen. But if you truly want an experience, and if you want to include in that experience a really positive, we'd call it, well, not just the transactional process, but actually a positive outcome for you in all those areas, whether it's, negotiating the repair or the rent back that you needed and the repairs that were, whatever, all that stuff, just not to get lost in detail. That's truly the difference, where a fiduciary is actually looking out for their client's best interests, understanding what's truly in the best interest of their client. In your book here, you've got them right here on page 2.7, I guess it is. You can see the difference here. And I think at the bottom of them, of course, it says minimally paid, highly paid. And truly, it seems simple, and yet it's true. Or I should say, it seems oversimplified. And yet, think through whether it's the car repair example, or think through other examples of businesses that where you've experienced different. I mean, I actually have a dry cleaner. If you think about a dry cleaning business, for the most part, they're kind of functional, I mean, they're really, but I found a dry cleaning business for myself that they're trying to be, now that fiduciary is a stretch for a dry cleaning business, but they're trying to be that for me, and trying to understand, like they'll call me and say, hey, I have this, whatever, these pair of slacks here, whatever, like, hey, we wanted them clean, but there's some issue, and like, you could buy new ones for probably what it would cost us to clean this. Do you really want to do that? I mean, that would be a fiduciary conversation that they would be having with, that they have had, right? Or, hey, this, doesn't make sense for us to I mean, do you really want to do this? This is what it's going to cost. This is what's going on with this, or whatever, right? That would be them taking that extra care step. Obviously the opposite of that would be what most would do is, you brought me a pair of pants and I cleaned them and took care of it. And you're sitting here thinking, I could have just bought new ones. Why didn't they call me? Why didn't they tell me I shouldn't have this blouse clean when I could have just bought a new one, instead of going through all the extra care and whatever, and spending $35, $40 on this, this blouse that I bought at Target, that I got on sale for $25, but it's like one of those things where you're like, I just want to, like, it's such a simple example, yet you can see where if you take that into real estate, or take that into even higher level, it's so important to have people partner and actually take a fiduciary role. And in our business, it's super important, because very often you'll be surrounded by your competitors that are basically just in it to sell a house. They're just in it to make some money. They're just they're order takers. And you'll be competing with these big real estate brokerage houses. When I say brokerage, I'm talking about the one that starts with a Z, or the one that starts with an R, that ends with an N. And those ones, like, they're more functionary. I mean, truly, the other one with the R, they literally employ people to be functionary for you. I mean, that, right? For you as a consumer, I should say, if you put for the consumer, right? And I mean, they're almost the epitome of providing a functionary agent rather than a fiduciary, So, I mean, does that make sense?
If I could piggyback, I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
have just a couple of comments, and I'm sorry I'm not very responsive. I'm jumping back and forth to my day job and this, but I have so much to say about this because I listen to a lot of podcasts, so this is kind of one of the big things they talk about. Is I like what you said about the transactional mindset. I heard you don't want to be so transactional, but you want to be more transformational, where if someone's had bad experiences in the past with real estate transactions, you can be the catalyst to taking them from a transactional mindset to, oh, it's strictly business, to, this person really does care and they want to put me in the best position possible, and really transforming that mindset. So I really appreciate what you said about that. And similar to other people in this group here, I come from a hospitality background, and I've had people where I was kind of hit with that sort of imposter syndrome type of feeling. But I sit down with them at the consultations, and at the end, they're telling me, oh, you made me feel so much better about going into this situation, and it's because I'm not so much about the numbers, but it's more that, I really do truly care about the people I'm trying to work alongside. I want to help them, because if they're not happy, then I'm not happy. And so I want to take a moment to say, I really appreciate what you said about the transactional versus, transformational mindset. I completely agree with that.
Awesome. Thanks for jumping in on that. The hospitality is a great example where, think about the functional aspect. Functional aspect is the food gets, the order somehow you need to order, and somehow that food needs to end up being made and needs to end up somehow getting back on your table, and then you eat it and you leave, right? For some people, that's, in some environments, that's really all they're after, right? I mean, it's at times. And yet, even in that environment, so like, imagine that you go into like a super fast food place and you're really in functionary mode. Like, I just want my whatever burger and I want to grab it and I get out of here. But ask yourself this: if they treat you with an extra level of care and an extra level of interaction within that environment, don't you feel better about that even within that, you know, like, hey, did you need an extra napkin with that? Hey, are you good with, did you need anything else while you're in here? Whatever, right? And that is a functionary, McDonald's actually, I noticed, they've done just this because I'm not saying they do it perfect because you realize they're franchises. So some do better than others. But like they have a window for a lot of them, I guess. I don't know. I'm not an expert. I just happened to go into one the other day with my kid. So I noticed they had a window for like DoorDash people. And on that window, it says, do you want a free coffee or soda? Just let us know. Like that is a functionary duty that they recognize somebody is doing, and they're offering that extra level of service that they don't have to offer. They make people feel good, even within a very transactional, non-transformational environment, right? Super transactional, like everybody just wants what they want and getting it out of there.
And your example, it's perfectly relatable, and that's where my brain went with serving and bartending.
Yep.
You came in to get a drink, you came in to eat. Now, me being charming and delightful made you want to leave me a tip.
Yeah.
And you know, and that's how you get recurring business that way. People will straight up come back and ask for your section. It's the exact same thing with real estate. You want to be charming and delightful. People act on emotion. You know, you want to think logically, but people act on emotion. You could have two people that serve you the exact same plate that could handle the exact same paperwork, but the one that was smiling and delightful and charming was the one that you're going to go back to, not the one that was just kind of beige and neutral and personalityless.
Right. Absolutely. Yep. If you see you guys have all been there. You see you're sitting at a restaurant, it's super busy or it looks super busy, but you're like watching and you're like, man, like that table over there hasn't nobody stopped and said, like greeted them, or those people came in, those people, you know, like this is an example. I was just at a place sitting outside and I noticed like 3 tables, people sat down, and the one gal walking in and out she was performing she was doing her functionary job. She was getting this from here to there, but she wasn't acknowledging these tables. And 2 out of the 3 just got up and left eventually. And I'm like, I was just shaking my head going, like, that's such a difference between a functionary versus a fiduciary. Like if she was looking out for the best interests of the brand of the business, first of all, and understanding that she represents that, and that deaf people's experience of that brand now are affected by her lack of interaction with them, you know, and all the way down to the point where those people just needed to be acknowledged. And they just needed, like, if you guys have you've seen, like I was going to say, you've been sitting in a busy restaurant and you can see that the server is hustling and they're probably understaffed and they're looking at you going, I'll be right with you. Your level of, I guess, you know, or your willingness maybe to say, and your patience level is like way up, right? I mean, a normal human, not some crazy you know, impatient person is like, I get it. They're super busy. It's fine. I'm fine, you know, but not being acknowledged and seeing people like performing a very transactional sort of, you know, functionary duty. You don't have patience for that because you're like, I want more than just that item to be moved through the restaurant. I want to be acknowledged as a patron. I want to be, you know, I'm here because I could have made food at home. That would be functionary. I'm out to eat. So anyway, I think we've made the point. I don't want to, but I hope that you guys hear the point in that, you know, real estate is so this, it is so much this in so many levels. And don't let the chatter, don't let the office competitive talk about numbers, don't let all these things, don't let those things derail you from understanding that your job really, like I said, caring for these people's, like helping them reach their goals, really being the guy to help them reach their goals. If you think of it that way, you're truly providing that fiduciary responsibility or that duty for them. And make all the difference in you building your business. And you'll truly have more referrals than you won't have to go prospect. Your lead generation will simply be just staying in touch with people so they know you exist in some way. And that'll be all you need because you're providing such a fiduciary, like you're putting value to people in such a way all the time that it starts feeding itself, you know? So that'd be that's my little 2 cents at the end there. It'll do that. And you won't even need to worry about cold calling or ever again, you know? Let's say here, I'm going to kind of, what do we got? We got here in your book is the next, be the fiduciary. Oh, we already talked through that, but one of the aspects of this is where are we at here? Oh yeah, review. So we went through why does it have manage the money in here? This is one I didn't catch. Oh yeah, so obviously as we're talking through these aspects of being a fiduciary, one of the aspects I should say of it, of course, is you're looking out for their well-being, right? So that's what we talk about that and what we were just mentioning. But it is the money side of it, understanding that this is a big financial thing for people. And I think, again, it's easy to get caught up in the transactional side, and it's easy to get be like, hey, I'm just trying to like make money at this, or it's a job for me. So I know that that's not you guys, and I just want to, probably for the sake of understanding it, as you understand your competency about basically how you manage your own money, you're also helping really manage their money, because they're really trusting you to help to guide them through this process of, for most people, it'll be the largest purchase they ever make. And so that's what, that fiduciary component of your responsibility is also it's a legal fiduciary responsibility. So you are seen as that, basically having care over that financial decision that somebody's making, or having an influence on that. And so you'll be held to that basically as well. So just kind of be mindful that you really want to be part of your competency in managing your own money and your own business is also understanding how those effects that you have on others in their financial life. So, things like, one of the things that I remember in this too is like, you see on the, well, if you've been around Keller Williams, you see the WI4C2TEFs or whatever it is. But one of the more important things about that, actually, I have on my notes on this, I think I was going to put that in there. Well, anyway, what we have to remember to think about is that as we are acting as a fiduciary, there's the win-win, or essentially we talk about the win-win or no deal. Well, that's what that's saying is we're putting doesn't mean it, well, I won't go into the Y4C2Ts too deeply, but basically it's saying we're putting their needs as a guide ahead of our own personal, we're helping make the situation work. It doesn't mean we're giving up everything either, but it's also, the I for integrity. Those are all the things that really require you to be a good fiduciary for them. So let's jump into the success system here that we have on page. Yeah, that's what I was that's the part that doesn't line up in my book, in your book here. What does it say? Nothing else about your business will have a big impact as the number of leads you have. Okay, Gary, I always said that. I already kind of beat this horse about leads, so I'll just kind of move on. One of the key aspects to any aspect of your life, that you have a goal and you have something that you want to do, or like I said before, having that why, having that purpose and reason in life that pulls you through the hard times. One of the key elements of that is having an accountability partner, or having an accountability structure, or having, I know it's the A word, a lot of people don't like the A word, but the reality is we are all accountable. I mean, when you drive down the road and stay in your lanes, that's accountability. The lanes are your accountability. Not crossing the yellow line that's accountability. It's not just because you feel like, well, I mean, the fact that there are laws that you choose to or don't choose to, like adhere to, that's accountability. You're staying true to your partner, that's accountability. I mean, go down the road, like paying your bill at a restaurant and not just walking out, that's accountability. You guys, like, all these things in our life are accountability. I think we often forget that we are accountable in so many ways. And then when we get to something like, business or some other aspect, but you're like, oh, I don't like accountability. It's like, well, you operate the rest of your life within accountability. So why should this be any different? Right? Your success driving down the highway is 100% dependent on how accountable you are to the essentially the laws of the rules of the road, really. Because that's, your success is directly dependent on that. Your success in real estate is 100% dependent on how willing you are to be accountable to the structure, not just the structure, that's the wrong way to put it, to the things that we know work to help you get towards your goal. Let's just say it that way. So it doesn't sound so structured. But we know that there, like I said before in coaching, one of the aspects of coaching is, hey, this is my goal. I would like to get here. I'd like to make this money or whatever. I have these things. So we say, okay, well, to do that, or I want to lift, I want to clean, lift, or be able to bench press 500 pounds. It's like, or whatever it is, doesn't matter. You could say, okay, is it achievable? Yeah. Okay. Well, what do we need to do to get through it? And so you come up with a plan, and then at some point you're off on your own and you're like, oh, you forget why you're doing it, or you have a hard day, you're not there. Having some kind of structure in place to remind you, okay, this is why I'm doing this. This is what I need to do. Oh yeah, I need to get back on track. I go to the gym and there's a million different machines here and I forget what I'm supposed to be working on. Whatever it is, accountability is truly where it is. It is absolutely the crux of any success in this. So really the key aspect of being accountable too is first of all, it has to be achievable, but figure out the things that you got to figure out what that is. And we have like tools we call the 411, or there's a lot of other tools that you'll hear as you start to go through. And those who have been around a while, I don't want to throw acronyms out there. So just know that you're gonna have a lot of different tools that will help you define where you want to go, and then the structure, so you can keep yourself accountable. You're accountable to yourself when you get up in the morning and decide, you know what, I could go out of the house without a shower, but I want to take a shower. I want to be clean today. That's actually an accountability there, because you're telling yourself, you know what, it's important to me to present myself in a clean way. So you do it because it's important to you, and you're holding yourself accountable to that. You can do that just the same way with your work. You're like, well, I want to get to this. I want to reach this goal. I want to pay off my car by the end of the year. So I got to make these calls today, or I got to send out these letters, or I need to go to do this open house all weekend, whatever it is, right? Doesn't have to be doom and gloom, but that's the point, is that it's crucial. It truly is crucial. And so from a mindset standpoint, you really want to get your mind wrapped around the idea that accountability is good. It's a part of our lives in so many ways. And the best thing you can do is to figure out, where can I find healthy accountability, and where needed, firm accountability, and that'll help me move down the path and on the direction I want to go, and help me get through those hard times when it isn't so easy and so great. So, I would encourage you guys, in fact, we have here on this page 2.10, whatever it is, to, pick a partner. If it's somebody in here, great. But what I would give you, my assignment right now would say, if it's somebody here, great. If it's somebody you find, I just want you to find somebody and commit to by the end of, I'd love to say commit to by the end of the day, pick somebody in your life somewhere and say, hey, I really, it could be somebody in your office, ideally, or somebody in real estate. Figure out who that's going to be and say, all right, what can I, well, like it says on the, what does it say on the thing here? Safe place to share. So like, yeah, somebody you feel safe with, you can say, hey, I'm struggling on this today, or hey, can you keep me accountable? Hey, I'm trying to do 75 hard. Can I call you when I feel like, having some sugar, or when I feel like drinking this, whatever, I'm going to call you instead, whatever, somebody that'll help you. And you just need to figure out somebody that's going to help you follow through with action items, and you're going to listen to each other, pay attention. And then the frequency is a key aspect to that. You've got to have a rhythm to that, so that, like, hey, every night, let's check in. How did you do? How many calls did you get? Or, hey, how many, let's say it's a health related goal, right? If you're, whatever those goals are, you have somebody that you can connect with, where you feel like it's a good thing, where you feel like it's good to connect. And sometimes it's hard, and truly that they really care, I mean, you guys have to really, you don't have to be like best friends even. In fact, honestly, it's better to have an accountability partner that's willing to be that, we'll call it that close friend in that aspect of your life, because then you guys can have hard conversations and you don't have to worry about it affecting the rest of your life, or being transparent about something that you don't want everybody else in your life to know, like personally. But as far as business goes, there's lots of people that you can connect with. So I encourage you for sure, do that. And then as it says here, be respectful, and as you're making these commitments, make sure you stick to it, because it's important not only for yourself, but for the people around you, like that you're in accountability with, but also others. If you're just like skipping out and not doing it, or not showing up to class, or not, whatever, how it is. You guys have all been there. You've been in jobs. It's like, that sucks when the other people are not being accountable to like showing up to the job, or showing up to help move somebody on the weekend and nobody shows up. That's not good accountability. Nobody likes that. Nobody feels good. So don't be that person. Be the person that's there, that shows up and says, hey, you know what? I said I'll be here every morning, and we're going for a walk, and it's cold and it's rainy this morning, but guess what? I'm here. I mean, be that person. If you do that and you commit to that, you will, not only will you be serving that person you're being accountable with at a high level, but you will also benefit from that commitment and that accountability to that yourself. And then just be open to feedback, you know? So you guys, are you willing to commit to that? Everybody willing to commit to finding an accountability partner by say like the end of the day, or what do you guys need, end of the week? How about end of the week? I'll give you guys the end of the week. That'll be easy. 100% attendance, end of the week, accountability partner. Sound good? I know it doesn't sound good, but this success system tracker is just a tool, really. So I believe this came up in the first session. It's one of the aspects that we'll talk about some of these first few here, kind of to help you, basically to help you kind of essentially get to where you want to go, right? In this business, I'm assuming where you want to go is having leads, having opportunities. So there are so many different ways that you can lead generate, connect with people, and understand that. And I'll even say, if any of you are working full-time jobs or whatever, talk to your coach. I have people that I give this to as part of our 30, 60, 90, like what to do in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and all this stuff's on there. And we'll rewrite it for what works for them. So the goal of this system, though, is, again, it's an accountability structure for you to say, well, we know that getting in contact with people and getting, basically building those relationships so I can serve them and bring value to them works. So what's a good rhythm? Well, they being those who have studied this have figured out about 10, per day seems to be will get you the volume that you need in order to start seeing success within like a pretty standard time frame. Now, are you a failure if you did 11 conversation and 5 contacts added and 2 handwritten notes? No, yet you just won't have as much opportunities for success happening as quickly. It's really your choice. Do you want more opportunities or less? Or if you do, let's say you do 50 handwritten notes and you only do 5 conversations, well, maybe the 2 trade off, the goal is for these, though, that as we move through these, what do we have in your book here? Oh yeah. Do they have the Ford? Yeah, the Ford thing here. As you're going through your book here, you want to do these because, as it says on the screen, if you're not actually saying, if you just said, I'm going to do some conversations and some contacts and some handwritten notes. I mean, you guys are all adults here. What happens when we just say we're going to do something, right? You get exactly what you put out. You said you would. You got some done, maybe, But if you if you measure it and say, I'm committing to 5 today, or I'm committing to, for some of my clients, I'm committing to 15 because I really got to ramp this business up quick. Great. So how did you do? And no judgment. Just did you get 15 or not? No. Is 15 achievable? If it's not, let's adjust the goal. If 15 is totally achievable, but you end up goofing off and hanging out and talking on the phone with your buddy and going golfing for half the day, well, then that's probably why you didn't get to 15. So maybe you can figure out how to do both, and get that done first, then go play golf. I'm all for it, by the way. So if you can't measure it, you cannot improve it because you don't know where it's not working. And so just practice that. And this is just a kind of a tool that we're throwing out there for you guys to, as you're going into something you'll use. We talk about this Ford method. I mean, this isn't just for new agents. This is, all the way. I mean, these are conversations we have here in the office. All right, let's get on the phone. Let's remember Ford, let's get out and kind of keep the cadence of our conversation. These are basically, as you're talking through or reaching out to people or whatever. I think you guys heard this yesterday, but obviously, as you can see here, it stands for family, occupation, recreation, dreams. So the idea is, is engaging with people in a way that is something that's about them. What's really going on with them. It's a way to start a conversation. Think about, is it something about their family, or or it doesn't have to be or, it could be and, right? Or, hey, I mean, obviously people go, how's work or whatever, that's easy. But what really makes a difference for people is talking about like their family or their dreams or some things they like to do. The recreation is what that stands for. Something like, you know, hey, how's softball league going? You know, that's like an easy, like, and people think they like, oh, you really care because you're asking about something that's meaningful to me, you know? So that's why the forward idea is those are all meaningful things to people. And it's important to be thinking about how we communicate with people. If we truly are bringing value, we are truly caring about those people that we're being a fiduciary for, then we want to know those things. Some people would say, oh, I don't really care about them. Well, maybe you're in the wrong business then, because at the end of the day, those things influence their life, influence their home, or their home will influence these things. So if we're truly trying to serve people at a high level, you know, those are the ways we're going to be connecting with them and connecting deeply with them. Some people like these. I mean, some say it should not be like an interview. Absolutely don't make it like an interrogation. Think of it as just making conversation, and this is just a template for you to kind of cue you, like, oh yeah, it's like, I can ask about their family. Oh yeah, it's like, oh, because I don't know about you, I've been doing it a long time, and I run into somebody, or I'm tired, or I'm at a you know, an event or a party, and I'm just like, I don't know what to talk about. I go, oh yeah, forward, okay, family. Oh, okay. So I can just say, hey, what do you like to do? Or like, are you always out wine tasting or whatever? If I do winery consulting, well, you wine tasting a lot. So that's a recreation question, and people start talking. Imagine that, you know, and then now it's like an easy go, you know? So, but you can certainly, if it's a more personal thing, you can dig in with more personal questions, you know, and if it's a great tool. So, I think we could kind of, we could go through some, well, do you guys want a few scripts, or, I mean, we kind of got to the end here. Any ahas you guys any questions about anything, or? I mean, there's the tracker, by the way. They want me to always add, we're supposed to always ask about your command database tracker. Have you guys, anybody here set up their database tracker? Yeah, I understand that. So.
I got mine set up yesterday.
Oh, good. Right on. Yeah, I mean, it's a great tool. I think a lot of people getting started, it's overwhelming. So good for you getting going on it. It's definitely helpful, I will say, because it's an accountability tool, but it's also a way for you to see how am I really doing. So, but yeah, any questions about, so this is a good prompt here. How has your thinking changed? Any ideas, mindsets that are new as a result of what you learned today? Anything you feel differently about? I mean, you can read the screen as well as I do.
I just had a question, like, I was waiting for that, I think it was called the, I don't know, ASD or something like that questionnaire. And then after I do that, will that give me the access to like log into command and stuff?
Yeah, and you and I need to connect on the phone. I can, if you're available, I can chat with you after this. So, but yeah, that's the short answer. Yeah, once you fill that out, they use that information to be able to set up your KW account.
Okay.
Nothing, nobody's thinking was changed. Everybody already knew all this stuff. You already were all fiduciaries. You were already all on board with all this stuff already, which would be great, actually, if that's the answer. I'm totally down with that. Well, that's good. This is our success system. I mean, ideally, you know, so why conversations, right? Here's the thing, it's a contact sport. You guys know that. So if we're not engaging with people and getting to know people, we're not moving them from like having actually engaged with them to becoming a potential buyer or seller, because we're not engaging with them. We don't know if they're buying or selling. But once they are, somebody we need to know, we can add them to our database, and then we can within our database, we can choose the path that they go down. If they're just somebody that we're going to keep in touch with for the next 5 years, or if there's someone that, you know, is a professional in an industry that's somehow related to ours, so they can be a good referral source that we can support their business, and they can in turn, you know, support ours, whatever, right? And then handwritten notes, that's a gold mine, by the way, you guys. It's really easy, because the truth is not a lot of people send handwritten notes. And if you take the time to think about somebody, just, hey, I was thinking about you, or hey, thanks for sending over that tip, or thanks for dropping off that hat, or whatever, you know, thanks for that, you know, thanks for buying drinks the other night, or just something, find reasons to be thankful. And find, I've coached agents. It's really easy when you put your mind in the mindset of gratitude, and you think about all the different people that you can be thankful. You can write 10 thank you cards a day. It starts getting easier and easier, but initially it could be hard. And if it is hard, then let's think about how you're engaging with people. Get out and be more involved in serving other people. And you'll find that it'll actually, the reciprocity in that will give you more opportunities to say thank you. You go door knocking, or you meet somebody you've never met, but you happen to know where they live. You just drop them a handwritten card, and not in a weird way, but just say, hey, so-and-so, it was great meeting the other day. If there's anything I can do to support your business, or whatever, you know, whatever the deal is, you know. So it's actually a lot easier than you think, and people remember those. So they don't have to don't ask them for business necessarily. If it's not, most of the time it's not appropriate to do that. You're just trying to make the connection, and then have a reason to engage with them later. So social media, that's a whole nother, I mean, that's really good. Actually, you want to, you know, likes, clicks, comments, you know, those types of things are really important. But there's a whole class on that too. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of where we're at. We're just, and then I guess I gotta mention the do not call list. Do not call people who are on the do not call list. If you read the guidelines, yeah, no auto dialers or automated voicemails that aren't pre-screened. That's my disclaimer to you guys. This quote here is I love, because this is what we were just talking about today. If we truly get out there and engage every conversation with the spirit of contribution, and people are happy to be in relationship with me. I like that quote for myself, to just say it to myself. I've got that written down, and it's in this thing here, because it's just so true. If we affirm that, you guys have heard affirmations, and I could teach a class on affirmations, but the bottom line is we just want to remind ourselves psychologically of a reality like this. This is something I can live towards, you know, live in, and every minute I can relive towards this, you know, even if I drop the ball and screw it up once in a while. Yeah, I mean, really, that's where it's at. I think we can skip through the role play for today and let you guys go about your merry way. They're all here, you know, follow up on your contacts, and then yeah, that's about it, really. Do your homework in Command, and you know, get ready for your next session, which is next Ignite session is connect with your market. And I don't have the syllabus. Does anybody remember what the class is tomorrow? Is there one tomorrow? Yeah, what's the class tomorrow? Is it this one, or is there a different one?
It's the connect with your market one.
It is, that's the one that's tomorrow. Well, there you go. You can prepare for that. Any other questions for me? I know I've run a few minutes over, but for my first time teaching it, actually, I think yeah, I think I did all right as for his timing. Any ahas, anything? You guys learn anything? Did I just talk into the wind? It sucked. It's all good too. I don't really care. No, I care. I care. So if it was bad, let me know. If it wasn't good, if it was good, let me know. I mean, you know, whatever works for you guys. I do want to know. Yeah.
Thanks for taking the time to teach today. I appreciate it. I thought it was good content, good reminders.
Yeah, you bet. You bet. I know it was a lot of talking at you, and there was a lot of data in this book to go through. So like I said, I appreciate you guys. you know, sticking with me on this. I'll throw my my email in the chat if you guys have any questions here real quick for we're still on here, everyone. If you have any questions or need any help on anything, I coach out of this office and I support other coaches too. So whatever I can do to help, just let me know. That's my email and my number, and I'm here for you guys.
All right, thanks again.
Yep, take care. Thanks, guys.
All right.